We are back from recess. It is 8:04.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the recreation study report.
Second.
I have a motion that has been seconded to accept about the hour and 10-minute report that we just got. We got lots of attachments. Any other discussion? Other than it being an awesome presentation, very motivated class. Anything else? I'll look at you.
I know, sorry.
On the motion that has been seconded to accept the Westfield State MPA Program's Recreation Study recommendations, how do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes, I did want to say
Diane?
one more thing.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. Okay, we're still with the new business, and this is round 2 of our license renewals for liquor, common victualler, auto amusement, live entertainment Class 2 and Class 3 auto. You all in your packets have a list.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the following licenses pending all fees and taxes are paid to date and all required inspections are complete as follows. J.K. Crossroads for liquor, common victualler, and live entertainment. Otter River Hotel, liquor, common victualler, live entertainment, and automatic amusement. Royalston Fish and Game, liquor, common victualler, live entertainment, and automatic amusement. Templeton Fish and Game, liquor, common victualler, live entertainment, and automatic amusement. Cumberland Farms, East Templeton, common victualler. Dunkin' Donuts in Baldwinville, common victualler. Dunkin' Donuts East Templeton, common victualler. Great Wall Chinese Takeout, common victualler. Kitchen Garden, common victualler. Patriots Roast Beef, common victualler. Village Pizza, common victualler. Bill's Used Auto Cars, Class 2 auto. Cash Inc., Chesterfield Motors, Class 2 auto. CONS Garage, Class 2 auto. Franklin Park Enterprises, Class 2 auto, Class 3 auto parts. Wilson Bus Sales, Class 2 auto. CONS Garage, Class 2 auto.
Yeah, that's a double.
That's a repeat.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that's a repeat. I already said that. Cosentino Salvage, Class 3 auto parts.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for our 2020 license renewals, round 2. Any discussion?
I would like to ask a question. If there is anyone who is not on this list that will not receive a license, Holly?
Yes,
May I have a list of those?
there's some class 2 and class 3, but not liquor.
Not liquor. Okay, so may I see that?
Yeah.
Please? So there is Scratch and Dent Auto Body for Class 2 auto, Randy's Auto Sales for Class 2 auto. They did not reapply?
Those two did
They
come in. Came
reapplied,
in
but they
late.
are not,
They came in after the agenda. And then the 3 on the bottom, 3 or 4 on the bottom have not come in to reapply.
so Below Book Auto Sales, Car Works, and Lang's Vintage Auto are Class 3 autos, and they have not reapplied. And USA Auto Recycling, Class 3 auto parts, they have not reapplied.
Correct.
Okay,
And they all did receive their paperwork
and they
on
have
October
all
30th.
received, but they have not done any,
Correct. They haven't come in.
okay, so,
What
thank you.
happens?
They can't do
They can't do business.
They would be notified that having failed to complete the necessary paperwork for their licenses, they cannot conduct business as of
So, January.
close of business,
December
December,
3rd.
last day of December.
Yep.
We would tell them the next date that they need to meet in order to be on your January. And we would look to inspect their books prior to the issuance in January, should they come in, and advise the police department that they're not licensed to engage in business.
That's correct.
And then that will be what that will be.
It's most unfortunate, but,
And let me just say, if I might, this is the same process that happens in the same manner
every year,
around the same time
every year.
of every year.
In every town.
in
in
town.
every, well, yes, I mean, some of the cities that have licensing commissions, they may be on slightly different schedules.
Right.
It's been a while since I've worked in a city, but at towns in this area, yeah, it's the same process everywhere.
But we announced it at the last meeting, and Holly's been making phone calls. So it's not like she hasn't reached out to people. So they know.
Any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion on the motion that has been seconded for license renewals, liquor, common victualler, auto amusement, live entertainment, Class 2 and Class 3 auto, with the list that Diane has gone through. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is concerning our past action. This is the budget effect for the police dispatch CBA. So this is a budget amendment 2020-04, funding police dispatch. And you have in your packet, under item 5F, the spreadsheet that shows the intergovernmental transfer of $6,750.
I make a motion to transfer the sum of $6,750 from the Select Board 120-000-51-5600-0000 to Police Dispatch Account 200-000-51-5100-0000 to fund the first year of the approved collective bargaining agreement with Templeton Dispatch Local 155A-AFL-CIO, Massachusetts Coalition of Police, FY20-FY through FY22 as presented.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the transfer of $67.50 from Select Board to Police Dispatch in order to fund the first year of CBA for the Templeton Dispatch? Hearing no further discussion on the motion to transfer $67.50 from Select Board to Police Dispatch for the CBA for Templeton Dispatch Local. How do you vote, Jeff?
No.
Terry?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, next agenda item is the first, it's waiver of right of first refusal for 24 Millstone Lane. In your packet, we have a letter from Chapa, similar from the last one. This is another low-income housing right of first refusal. And again, as we've talked in previous meetings, we don't have the structure to be able to
Right.
to purchase these, but we are committed to working with CPA
Right.
to be able to establish that trust fund to make deposits so that we can actually buy back.
How do we schedule that?
We're working on it. We talked about it during the all
All
boards, so
boards,
we,
but-
we had the IDI contact.
Do we have to have John come in, or do we have to meet with them? Do you have any idea how
That's,
to get it
that's a
off the
good question.
ground?
Carter, I mean, we go to them, they go to us. I think we've at
How do we
least
get
started
that
the
off the
process.
ground?
Well, I think that you've drafted or sent off
Yep.
by vote of the board, a letter to Chapa, see what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can talk with the CPC. The big challenge is you must have a housing trust under the statute in order to utilize these funds.
Right.
As Scott mentioned earlier, as was mentioned in the survey, as I'm sure was mentioned at the all boards. It's a constant struggle to find appropriate, sufficient volunteers. So we did talk with John at one meeting that we had on this matter, of maybe trying to keep it somewhat relatively constrained as we did for the capital planning. Making some specific appointments, like maybe from the Housing Authority, one from the Select Board, planning, some things like that. A couple of citizen members, not a real broad base, and then a mechanism with one staff member to help support it, who steps in. So for instance, on the capital planning, I'm a member ex officio, or my designee, and if I or the designee are needed that night in order to have a quorum, and to be able to vote on things, then we have that voting authority. So if that's, as a result of what Chappa says to you, have you begin to think about this? If that's of real interest to you, then we can explore whether or not the state would approve a structure like that, so that we can enhance the possibility of success. And then the trick, as we talked about, was we need an administering agency. We don't really have institutional capacity to run a lottery system, to get the thing sold again.
Right.
How we make that. So I think, some baby steps here, starting with that letter to Chappa. I suspect they will really be very responsive
Yeah,
to your inquiry, because
and then that's my.
these dollars are not being spent statewide.
Mhm.
And I really do think you will find them responsive, and get them out here for a workshop,
Okay.
and go from there.
I make a motion to waive the right of first refusal for 24 Millstone Lane.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? So, Terry, in discussion, did that satisfy your question, what next? Send letter, that's my due out,
Right.
and then form committee?
Explore a committee that meets the test
Okay.
of statute, but is one that we can sustain. We don't need another committee. We have the EDIC, we hadn't even been able to get the thing fully,
Right,
I'm not gonna say staffed, but we haven't been able to fill the slots, so
okay.
we
So
need
it's
to look at the structure that we
discussion
can
to be
sustain.
able okay, understood. Any further discussion?
Not to pick on the EDIC, Steve.
So that all has to happen before we talk to John Henshaw?
No, we can talk to John about sustaining a committee,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded for the right of first refusal for 24 Millstone Lane. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes,
Diane?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. I believe, let's see, I think we had for the next agenda item, I think everyone got a additional handout for the meeting for the petition for the special town meeting.
this one.
Yes. Okay, we've got we've got our petition. We all received a letter from the town clerk that the signatures have been certified. So we are on for special town meeting. We've got some date issues. Are the dates on there? Okay.
This will require you rescheduling your business meeting, as we had to do for the district
Yep.
meeting, to either Tuesday or Thursday or Monday, whatever your pleasure is. The date was picked based upon trying to stick with the Wednesday that the survey said, and again, we didn't, I think we had 80 participants or something.
Can I ask a question, please? Mr. Chairman?
Are you finished? Okay, so it's based on the date, go ahead, please,
So
Terry.
based on the date, on January 10th, I believe, is it the planning board for the Casella and the groundwater?
On a Friday?
Oh, is it, no, it's the week, it's before this meeting. They're going before this meeting. I didn't bring my phone to see the
We
exact.
were told January 7th, but I
January
see on
7th.
the calendar now, the planning board is January 14th.
14th, so it's the day before.
I don't know if that's a mistake or not, but because we were
I knew
told
it
they
was
were gonna move
before this.
January 7th.
I'm for this special town meeting, but is that gonna be a problem going forward if they meet with the planning board before this?
I don't know, I don't have the answer
So
to that
let me
question.
just start by saying they're going for a storm water
Storm.
management review, which I'm not sure this is spot on, but also, you don't know if this is going to pass, and then once it's submitted to the Attorney General's office, you don't know what their response will be to it. So I'm not sure what you could do with their application to the planning board made under current bylaw that's in effect. I'm afraid I'm not completely understanding.
I just wanted to know if it had any bearing, if it would be grandfathered in, if they went, if it should be put on hold. Not this, but if that meeting,
No, it has to move forward.
okay.
This has to be approved by the Attorney General.
No, I know this has to move forward, I'm talking
But
about.
that meeting can't be put on hold, not knowing
Is
whether
it
or not
different?
there's something. Mm-mm.
Okay.
The planning board has peer review that they're conducting, or are about to conduct. And there's no mechanism for the planning board to not consider their application unless it were incomplete, or the peer review were to bring up questions that needed more response from the applicant. The only change to this, if I might, Mr. Chairman, and the draft 2 that we sent out earlier today is on the back of the page. After further discussion, it was changed from being petition of, the named person and others, because there was really no lead
By
petitioner.
citizens petition,
Then it was changed to citizen petition, but then once we had the final number certified, we put in by petition of 255 citizens. So that's the only change from what
okay,
you
but
saw.
that's the way it'll read,
Yeah,
okay, with the number,
yes.
all right.
And the only other thing I would point out is that after consulting with counsel, he affirmed that it should go into the warrant exactly the way the petition was presented.
Right,
And I think I sent you his other comments
yes,
with respect to some things you may want to do between now and the actual meeting itself, which we can take up at the workshop in January.
okay. Yeah, I agree. The petition, it should go forward that way. However, anything can happen at the special town meeting in terms of amendments or otherwise. People can look at the structure of the language and make amendments based on what's in there, but I agree with counsel that it's gotta go the way that people believed that it was being pushed forward. Okay, I'll entertain a motion if people are happy with,
I move
This
to
warrant.
approve the warrant for the special town meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I would just say, the comment that I just made just now about amendments, I think that, in light that this is a pure copy-paste from the last set of bylaws where Article 22? This was
23.
23 from the original? I think that as a copy paste, I think it could have been formed a little bit better. So when I say amendment, I don't mean amendment in a derogatory sense. I mean it in a administrative sense that, we don't have a sanitary landfill at Route 202. And I think the spirit of what people signed this for was not concerned about a landfill on 202, but was from waste and otherwise. So that's why I say, the possible amendments that may make this a stronger or weaker, chance for coming back as a bylaw. And that's all I have to say about it. Otherwise, I support the citizens. Any further discussion? Okay, on the motion that has been seconded to approve the warrant for the special town meeting as presented for January 15th at 6 PM. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Carter has his hand up.
Oh,
If I might, Mr. Chairman, what is the pleasure of the board with respect to scheduling your business meeting of January 15th?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
so I pulled up the,
We don't have to do that tonight, but if we
Okay.
know, then we can, get a room and we can, just give people advance notice and such.
so you had suggested one of them was Monday, the 13th. I know, just scheduling wise, just to take a minute to go through this. Board of Assessors, Montauk Public Subcommittee, Planning Board, Historical Commission are all on Tuesday. And then Wednesday's the 15th. Thursday is the Advisory Committee, and they use this room. Do any of those?
But we do also have the smaller conference room at
Okay.
the head of the hall. And
to-
Monday, but I think there's some conflicts for some of the members
Tuesday is
on
gonna be a
Monday.
conflict. The Planning Board is meeting that night. Well, how do people feel about meeting on Monday, the 13th? I don't mind. Jeff?
Sunday morning, 10 a.m.
I was thinking Saturday breakfast.
Subject to call out for snow.
Let's move it to the 13th.
Okay.
Are you going to send us an invite?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the last item of business for new business, and that is discussion on the Referral Ad Hoc Advisory Committee on Funding Local Education. You will notice in your packet, under 5I, or India, you've got a two-page document that was basically coming out of our workshop last week. Exactly what Carter said he was going to do, and he ginned this up. I've had a chance to read through it, and it is exactly what I would expect.
Just one error.
Oh, okay. Just a typo.
The 20th,
two.
yep.
Yep.
We'll,
2019, 2020.
yep, we'll fix that before
Yep.
the referral goes over to the advisory committee.
Yep. So
Their
this,
review and comment.
so discussion tonight is based on this document. I think that we're talking about the formation of it among our board. And I think the merits of it and what it can do can be a later discussion. We're proceeding with the document. Is there any, do we want to push forward with this?
I still have some hesitation about this. And it's like throwing a bomb.
I like it.
I said this at the first meeting, and I'm somewhat believe that. Where the school has learned some things about this whole process that happened last time, and that the superintendent is committed to looking at things a little bit differently and engaging more and, really taking a harder look at the budget, and I just feel like we're throwing a bomb on that. And I don't think that, still, we keep, forming these committees and, I liked, I thought when Jeff spoke last time about, can the advisory committee do it? And, I agree with some citizens at large, and I did speak to a few people that I had in mind, and it's very difficult at this time of year to ask people to do things, and they each, turned me down. So they were my few people. And maybe it's just because it's the holidays and people are a little burnt out, and it's just my personal opinion about just kind of like going, lobbing a bomb over there. And I just kind of wanted to see how this budget season kind of played itself out. Do I agree that there are some flaws? Yes. Do I agree that there are a lot with the state? Yes. And do I agree that, I don't believe that we're going to be able to, unregionalize. That's not what the state is looking for. They're looking for more regionalization. And, is the school going to ask for more money again? Yes, we all know that to be the truth. There's no way around that. We are given 2.5% to raise our taxes, and, they were at 9% this time. But I think they're gonna take a harder look at that. I think that he's committed to that. And I think that we should, hear him out. I don't feel like dropping a bomb on that. That's my opinion on that.
Terry?
Well, two things come to mind. The woman that spoke for the Recreation Committee in that class that she's taking about people today in conversations that need to happen and transparency. I think you could start having this meeting and something huge, an epiphany could come that could help Superintendent Cassavant or help the school. You don't know what can come of something like this unless I don't think there's an agenda to say, a negative agenda. I don't think there's an agenda to say, we are definitely gonna do this. I think that it's just a conversation that people wanna have and brainstorm and see what can come of it to help the town. I don't see any, I don't feel fearful. I don't think that having a conversation, whether it's always pleasant or not so pleasant, that you need to be fearful of a conversation.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a family of 10. I'm telling you, we didn't always get along, but you learn to forgive. And the same thing with this community. I have so many people, people say things and you move on. Sometimes you say the right thing and sometimes you don't. And you just move on with move on. You apologize if you have to, and and that's, I think with what that woman said was the way the younger generation are today, the conversations that they have are rough, but they're necessary.
So, I think it kind of goes down in two paths. Terry, what you're talking about is, this is an exploratory ad hoc committee that is designed, here's the charge to the committee. It's doing some research, it's asking some questions. And, just to paraphrase what you were saying, what's the harm in doing that? To have the conversation, to ask the questions and otherwise. And then I think the other path is, would this committee wind up having unintended consequences? Mrs. Matson was here, and she listened, during our discussion with the advisory committee, And I was a little nervous about being very exclusive. You know, these are questions that they should be a part of asking or doing some of the research with it. I don't mind having our own committee to do it, but it makes me nervous if we're trying to foster a better relationship with the school the school district and the school committee. I want to make sure that as we design this and we meet and we research and we come up with recommendations, that we don't have unintended consequences
Right.
and ruin relationships or try and throw a wet towel on some sparks that I think really did occur during this process. I said, in one of the last meetings, I said, I'm a little bit grateful for this process because at least we were started to talk and we started to understand that we made some mistakes or we made some missteps where I think it could have been a little, maybe it would have been the same conclusion, but I think asking some of the questions earlier on in the process would have been better served. So just listening to both of what you both said, I think there's the aspect of this is just asking questions and having a conversation to do some research about how we govern ourselves, you know, municipal or district-wise. But I want to make sure that we don't have any unintended consequences. And I agree with you, Diane.
So how do you do that?
I don't know. I like, the document that we have here is exactly what I would expect, and I'm very satisfied with the document, and I'd be comfortable going forward, sharing this document. But I also would want to before we wind up signing off on this, I would want to have the conversation to make sure that we are going forward arm in arm rather than setting ourselves up for, not failure, but difficulty.
Going backwards in our
Conflict.
relationship with the school.
Sure.
Well, they're not even involved in this, and basically, you know, it was stated we don't want them involved, so we already put them on the defensive. And the more I thought about it, we already put them on the defensive. There's, you know, we want to do all of our own research, you know, we might call them if we can, we might,
But I
there's
don't think
there's
that-
no partnership here. There's absolutely no partnership here.
I don't know if that's the attitude, though. I don't think that's the
There's
attitude.
no partnership here.
Yeah, but I don't think I think that the attitude is not threatening.
If you read this and you were sitting on the other side of the table and there was attitude throughout the entire process, how would you take this?
I wouldn't.
Well, that's you. But I've
I wouldn't
been
read
doing this for 7 years, and I've witnessed all the attitude. There's attitude here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, let me first say that beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and the beholder of this will see this as confrontational and not productive
Thank you.
of a partnership. That said, to not act in the middle of January, having given kind of a signal to the advisory committee that upon receiving their comments, you might act at your first board meeting, beauty being in the eye of the beholder, might be seen as not conducive of a partnership between the two bodies.
We're stuck.
But you have an out. Based upon the monthly chief, chief administrative officer, chief executive officer, Ms. Hughes informed me, and I tried to share that, if you've had a chance to see your email, share that in the last day or so with everyone, that they're hoping to bring in some folks who are really steeped in district agreements and alternative funding formulas and how to deal with things. And that would be another 6 weeks into the budget process. You could send it to the advisory committee for their thoughts and comments, but tell them that you're not going to take formal action until after the all boards meeting at January, at which time you would give their comments consideration and determine whether or not to adopt it. So that would give you, that would be keeping faith with the advisory committee. It would let you earn a little bit more and see how the process is going at the school committee, and buy you some time to decide whether or not to pull the pin out of what some might view as a grenade.
I agree. And for the questions, when you look at the charge of the committee, its scope is time-based, but the questions are not time-based. The questions could be any budget year. And I'm not suggesting answering these questions the can down the road, but what I am suggesting is when I say unintended consequences and we talk about grenade, a grenade, one group is time-focused because they're in it. They're in the budget season. Whereas this one here is looking at holistically, trying to answer questions, not redesign. That's not the charge of what this ad hoc committee is trying to do. And that's so between a time-focused group and a non-time focused group in terms of the subject, that automatically puts you in a tough conflict. What I would recommend is, or what I would share with the board or offer to the board is, instead of, does the advisory committee have this, or is it based on what we do tonight?
It's based upon what you do tonight.
Okay, well, instead
I
of,
don't believe I sent this along
Okay.
to them because I didn't have,
I don't know what the rest of you are thinking, but
Response
if
from this
instead of
board.
creating, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't believe I sent it along because I'm sorry, I lose track sometimes of
Okay.
what I do and
But that's fine.
don't send to whom.
So instead of recommending
I'm thinking
creating,
it, I'm not saying it.
Not enough coffees, Jeff, that's,
Something like that.
what I think we can do to move forward with this, at least keeping this discussion open, is instead of moving to create the ad hoc committee, basically have a motion tonight to share this document for their thoughts, and basically carry on that conversation. Let them look at it and offer, when do they meet next? Do they meet this week?
January
Oh, okay.
Something.
2nd, I believe.
When they meet, we can be present at that meeting, but and a little bit forward with that, but send this over as a draft, rather than saying, I move to create the ad hoc committee.
We're two legal separate entities, and looking out for each entity is not really confrontational. You're looking out for yourself, and if you don't look out, they're gonna do the same thing. If you watch the last, what was it, the 13th
Yes.
school committee meeting? But they also had been hit square in the jaw with the fact that the people were pushing back, and from what I listened, heard, was they're realizing that, and they want to explore other things. One I think has been tried or done before. I think it was, we did health, we did something together way back a ways.
Okay.
For some reason, it didn't, I'd have to look up and see. But they are at the realization that they gotta try some other different things, because you got this much money and it's only going so many ways. Everybody realizes that. And the time of the season, and just to get people, we create an ad hoc committee, and then what? People
Okay.
show up, meet, schedule, the budget season is here. I don't wanna create another committee that is really just gonna, even though I think the idea behind it is solid and a good idea, I just think it'll turn into something that is just gonna spin wheels
Okay.
and not really get to the meat of the problem because of time, simple time. You have the budget, you have the school, the way they were talking, the school committees wants to look at other options and things. We should be doing the same. And really, it comes down to, if advisory really wants to do this, they are the committee to do this, because they are a standing committee of town meeting. And even at the annual town meeting, if, you know, we just go through a different road, so to speak, town meeting could stand up and charge them with this very thing. They could just say, hey, advisory committee, do this, and we want to hear a report at the next special town meeting, and this is in effect until the next annual town meeting.
Right.
So it's,
I
that's my
have the
biggest thing,
clear
is
path.
creating another committee that I think is not gonna produce a lot of results in any meaningful time frame. I think it would be 2 years, really, or a year
Okay.
at the most, before they would come to some kind of conclusion, and a whole bunch of stuff can change before then. I just, again, in principle, it's good, but I just, an ad hoc committee, a bunch of things, I just,
I will offer all of
it'll
you,
start off strong, but it'll end up
I understand.
stretched out.
So
I feel like I
Two
can't
things.
even support it at all.
well, what I would like to do is,
So
I would
like,
like to
just send it to the advisory committee
I still
for
want to
their
send it,
meeting?
I want to send it to them.
Okay. So I make a motion to send
Wait,
the
Send the
draft to the advisory committee for their meeting of, for their next meeting for review and commentary.
Second. That makes sense? Basically just sending this draft over for their review.
For their consideration. and
Yep.
they, you know.
I have
So
a motion
rather
and a
than
second.
create it-
For discussion, I'd offer this. It becomes, if we agree on it, we can shelf that plan until we need it. We can activate it whenever we need it. However, in the absence of that, we do have, the advisory committee has been, from both communities, Phillipston and Templeton, has been invited to we're calling it the CAO, CEO?
Yes, I suggested, and it was agreed that we had a representative of each Finance and Advisory
Right.
Committee. And I did send that invitation off to the Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Again, excuse, I get foggy, but I don't know if it was late yesterday or this
So there's
morning when I sent
participation.
out that invite.
So I had briefed you, we held a kickoff meeting between the the chairman for the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator for both communities, superintendent, chair for the school committee.
Yep.
We're already meeting to discuss, like when Jeff was just talking about efficiencies and what can we do to come up with ideas so we can, in looking at the budget, if we see cost overruns, we can say, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the health insurance thing, or we're gonna try and do something to find an efficiency. We're gonna find one person, like an HR representative, that's gonna be able to do multiple things, therefore reducing costs. We're already having those meetings. I missed the last one. I forgot to stay in Templeton for it. The second Tuesday for every month, that's already occurring. To get advisory committees involved with it, I think actually, I hate using the same metaphor in the same evening, scratch that itch. Basically making sure that we have the right people in the room to discuss these things. It may not get all of these questions answered, but I think that we are now determining that we can answer some of these questions independently, but let's go forward and still consider this as a possible future action. Advisory committee may, get this and say, no, we still want to do it. That's that's a conversation we can have. But tonight, I think that, the motion that's on the table right now is to basically say, yes, we like this, take a look at the draft, tell us what you think. I think of it as like a win-win situation. We go forward with, what, the committee and the board discussed, but we also, are doing something about it. Not just saying no. It's a lot to consider.
It is, it seems like stalling.
Well, that's exactly what I'm telling you. We're not stalling, we're sending it, but we're also still doing the work with the same people that we're talking about. So that second Tuesday of every month meeting of the people that I talked about, you're in a joint environment, you're still discussing those time-phased issues.
Who does the inviting to the Tuesday night, everyone?
I think that's a consensus. Who invites for that meeting? It's basically, we organized ourselves.
It's the
Between the-
superintendent's office.
Right.
Yeah.
Hosts it.
And that, they post it, so it's not in violation of
It's not an open meeting law,
Anybody can go?
no,
It's not, it doesn't come under open meeting?
no.
How come?
Because there's not a
Quorum of
quorum.
any entity or board.
So what if someone from the could someone from the advisory council be invited?
That's exactly what we suggested.
Okay,
That was agreed, and we sent, and Holly's
okay.
reminded me that I did that this morning, sent that off. So, should they take that up at their January 2nd meeting, we would then have an appointee in time for the January meeting. These are meant to supplement, trying to put the two boards of selectmen, the school committee, and the two financial committees, advisory committees, all together in that room is just not practical on a regular basis. So this is meant to kind of supplement and help fill in between those much larger meetings.
Right, which is why I report back. So we have a motion on the table that's been seconded to basically send this draft over for review by the advisory committee. That is also, we know the background is they've also been invited to that other, every second Tuesday. Second Tuesday?
The second Tuesday of the month has been so far.
Yep. Any other discussion? Hearing none on the motion to send the draft to the for the ad hoc committee to the advisory board for review. How do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That is the last item on our agenda, under old I have nothing under old business.
I do, hold on for
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm being messy. No, it's under the minutes.
Minutes for which,
I think under October's minutes, there was something that came up, and you had asked for, and I wanted to know where it stood. Okay, hold on, I might have it there.
okay.
I don't know why I didn't write it down. No. Might have been in the numbers. Let me just look here.
While she's looking, do you have any, Do you have any board comments?
I do.
You do, okay. Terry, do you?
Yep, yes.
Wait,
I'm so
you
sorry.
just hang on 2 seconds.
I have a couple things.
I don't know what you're looking for, I can't help, I'm sorry.
Where do we stand with the, that the gifts are gonna be part of the financial policy, right?
Yes,
I know there was something that you asked about, Mike, and I wanted to know where it stood, and that wasn't it. I'll find it for next time.
We also,
I don't know. I left my copy of the agenda for that evening. I usually have it right in front of me, so I can't even
No,
refer back to my
I was reading the
notes.
minutes, and I said, oh, remind myself to ask about that.
it was about money, Diane?
No,
What was it about?
I don't know.
Was it this one? Did we get an answer when Julie Farrell asked how many acres of land is in conservation in
That was
town?
it. That was it.
Ah,
You
look.
said that you were gonna follow up on that. Was that October's? Yeah, where does that
She
stand?
referred.
You were gonna follow up with April and
I
Julie
didn't get an answer.
asked
I was
Frankly-
wondering, what I was supposed to follow up on?
no, Mike was going to.
Okay.
Do we
I-
know,
There is-
where are we gonna follow up on that?
there is no way to get you an answer on that unless that's further defined, because that's chapter land, that's state land, that's town
Oh,
land.
okay.
It's,
Well, they asked the question and
it's
so
conservation
there's-
trust land,
Percentage of-
Dwelly Farm, it's, I
Oh, so
mean,
there is no way to find an
if-
answer.
well, there is a way to get to a answer if I know what kinds of lands are being asked
Was it
about.
Julie and April Cover, so Julie asked how many acres of land is, you take this, is in conservation land in town, and April asked if that included open space.
All right.
Oh, yeah, it does say you.
So,
I thought it
so
was
there's,
me.
So I just
Sorry.
wanted to know if they got their answer or not.
there is no easy way to get to an
Do you
answer.
want this?
And I really can't justify the staff trying to, add everything up.
Okay,
on
so
it.
I think
I'll
we
see
should
what I
just
can do.
follow up with them and, hi Jeff.
Okay.
I didn't even see you move over there. So I think we should just tell them that there's no easy way to get to an answer. We should,
And I'll do that.
thank you.
I have their contact info.
Okay,
I mean, we can get some answers if we just have a better sense of
okay.
what kind of lands we're
Yep.
talking about, Mike.
Yeah, I'll continue to look at that.
I'm sorry I took so much time.
Okay, so that's old business. We're now into board member comments. Jeff,
Okay,
take the.
I'll send everybody off with a happy holiday.
Happy
And I'll
holiday.
start off that this is not a reflection on Templeton employees, rather it is an example of the need for Templeton to look at doing business in a different way. We enter agreements like this while we go without proper police protection, highway goes understaffed, fire EMS is juggling for services even after an override for that service. Then we say we cannot afford to fully fund schools. The first item is an intermunicipal, and I'm not sure if everybody is aware of these, the intermunicipal agreement for accounting services with the town of Hubbardston. It was voted on May 8th, 2019. It was signed May 15th, 2019. What it does is Templeton will provide accounting services to the town of Hubbardston. The first year, fiscal '20, Hubbardston will pay Templeton $37,000. The following year, they will pay us $41,000, and the following year, they will pay $45,000. The cost for this agreement, the salaries for the accounting office increased from $90,000 to $127,470. The 37 plus the 90 is 127, so we're $470 in the bad side already. This is found in the fiscal '20 budget book, page 58 and 58A. The accountant's salary increases by $7,500 to $77,690. The assistant accountant salary increases from a total of $20,346 to $49,780. She goes from 19.5 hours, the assistant accountant, to 38 hours. That is now benefits. I judge that as a cost of about $25,000. That may be a little on the high or a little on the low side, but that's the figure that I use. That's a total increase of cost for the accounting salary to people of $61,934. You subtract the $37,000 from that, and it's $24,934 that Templeton taxpayers are paying, so Hubbardston can have their accounting services done for $37,000. My question is, why can't Templeton get something like that? Why don't we look for deals or a way to get accounting or any other thing done at that reduced cost? Again, this isn't against the employee, it's against how we do business, speaking how we do business. And again, I don't know if you're, like Mike, Terry, if you were aware of that. And that is online. You can look at the numbers, you can look at, it's under contracts and agreements, and you can read through it and see all the particulars of it. And that is a concern of mine. Not that we'd have that agreement if it was equal. It'd be no, if the 37 covered Templeton cost, that would be fine, but it does not. We're spending $24,000
We're
above
paying
what
for
we're receiving
Hubbardston's.
for that service. And I would like to see Templeton get something like that. And that's not a shot against Kelly, that's just business and the money situation that we have. The second item that concerns me is, and this comes from attending the all committees meeting and seeing who was there and who wasn't, participation. The Scout Hall Reuse Committee. I looked for meetings posted. The last meeting I saw posted was June 12th, 2019. The agenda has general discussion and action on painting quotes. The minutes that were on the town website now, it was showed they were downloaded yesterday, December 10th. It's basically just a copy of the agenda. It doesn't, I looked at May 1st, action, painter bids, and general discussion. It does not meet the minimum requirements of the open meeting law that says the minutes are supposed to have a date, time, place of meeting, the members present or absent, decisions made, actions taken, including a record of all votes, a summary of the discussions on each subject, a list of all documents and exhibits used at the meeting, and the name of any member who participated remotely. The minutes are not a transcript, an exact wording, it just needs to be a summary, and that, they're not there right now. So my first concern is, at the special town meeting, we voted $50,000 from CPC to Scout Hall. Who, did that committee request that? And how did they when their meetings and their agendas do not reflect that? There is meeting minutes from September 12th. The meeting was turned over to Selectmen from the Community Preservation Committee meeting held September 12th, 2019, Boynton Public Library. The meeting was turned over to Selectman Julie Richards, who submitted a project completion list for work needing to finish the Scout Hall project. The sum being requested is $50,000 to be used with an existing balance of $5,000 from a previous CPC award to finish all work. After some discussion, motion was made by Ms. Novak, seconded by Mr. Rich. Vote was unanimous. I looked at the expenditure report, and the last time that anything went from Scout Hall from CPC was an annual town meeting of 2016. And this is from the December 12th, 2019 expenditure report that Kelly just sent out today. Annual Town Meeting, 5/20/2016, Scout Hall. It shows a balance of $11,140.74. I could not find where that $5,000 comes into play. Again, there was $11,000 sitting there on the books. Another $50,000 was asked for, but I don't know if the committee asked for that, or if Selectman Richards went there, and it wouldn't be the first time that I saw that. And it's, again, this is how easy it is to get things done in correct manner. It's an example of how easy it is to stray from the open meeting law. Intentional or otherwise, it's an easy thing to fall in. And this is, again, goes back to why, when I first got elected, back in May or June, I raised the issue, a question of why the Board of Selectmen doesn't have oversight over projects like this with the amount of money involved. And I know there has been, I went back and looked when the committee was first formed back in 16. There was talk they're gonna use it as a place for TCTV. I know, Steve has a very good, it's ambitious, but he has a very good, sound business plan, and they're looking for a studio to put this equipment so we can have live feed to watch these meetings where you can click and watch the thing in actual time. And again, this to me is an example of things just not being done correctly. And when the auditor comes here and says, things are going well financially, that townspeople can have confidence in their government and their financial picture, this to me raises a red flag and puts a question mark on that. And it really bothers me. Things like this do. I want to see us get better, do things. Perfect is a bad thing to strive for, but to strive for perfection is a good thing. And again, this is another example of it doesn't seem like we're doing things as good as we should be. And lastly, I will just, again, another intermunicipal agreement. It has to do with dispatch. And in that agreement, it says the provider is the town of Templeton, a corporate body politic acting through its Board of Selectmen. It also says there shall be an advisory board made up of police chiefs, fire EMS chief, and EMD director. It shall be chaired by the police chief of the provider and meet at least quarterly. I cannot find where they have met at all. The board shall review and comment on the uniform operating procedures, policies, rules, regulations that govern the development and operations of the Templeton Regional Emergency Communication Center, proposed annual and supplemental budgets for the TREC, proposed application for and uses of potential grants. If a dispute arises among the members of the advisory board with respect to the advice it is to render to the provider. Has this board met quarterly? It should have at least met once, if you're gonna follow the agreement. And if a report has been created, where is it? Who received it? I have not seen one, heard about one, even heard it talked about. And if they haven't met yet, why? Again, this is an agreement voted on by the Board of Selectmen, signed off on them between two towns, and it has, again, a requirement for something to happen. It apparently is not happening. I don't know why. I know it's easy to put this stuff on paper and, yep, we're gonna do this, and stuff happens. Budgets, this, that, cuts, blah, blah. But again, it's an agreement that we signed, that was voted on by the Board of Selectmen, and it needs to be followed.
Okay.
If we're gonna do, or say, or repeat what the auditor said, that we're doing things right, we're moving this way, so people can have confidence in the government. If you're gonna go ask them to borrow money, or ask them to do this, or agree to this, or change that, they have to believe that you're gonna do it and you're
Couldn't
gonna
agree with you more.
follow through. And if you have a track record of not doing it, even if they're little things, you'll be backing up real quick.
Okay.
And again, I just really care about this stuff, and I want us to do, better. Cause it's hard, I know, and some of this stuff is a pain in the butt to do, but it's the details that matter. And, over
It's a
Christmas
process.
vacation, I'm gonna do some more digging.
It's
and
a
some more
process,
reading.
Jeff.
So,
So, thank you for starting
Right.
the process for asking those questions.
all right, thank you.
Terry?
I'm I just need to digest what he said. That was good work. That was amazing. So, two things. We got a letter from Noel Francis, and he did submit his request to Susanna Whips at the State House and Senator Goby. And he did mention that when he does get a bill number and a hearing date, he would let us know and request a letter of support of the bills, and hope that when the hearing date is set, that residents of the towns of Templeton and Phillipston write their representatives, or even journey to Boston to offer their personal testimony. And then,
Fantastic.
after the recreation, I should have said something earlier, but after the recreation study was presented, we took a 5-minute recess, and one of the wives of the gentleman that helped with the study came up to me and said that she would hope that we would keep swimming free, because it's an important service and it saves lives. And she said that she would hope that we could find the money for the kids to attend swimming free from somewhere else. So, and then, Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. It's a season of giving.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and I hope that it's safe and a blessing for all of our residents and our employees, and our staff members, and our department heads, and for all of you.
Staff?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that concludes pretty much all of our agenda items tonight. Here's the fateful question. Mr. Terenzini, regrettably,
I must ask you
Okay.
for a executive session under section 21A-6, strategy with respect to real estate negotiations, when public discussion could undermine the bargaining position of the municipality.
okay,
I
do
do
you
not
foresee coming back
anticipate
out
any
to?
action,
Okay, so
other
we
than
can,
coming out to adjourn.
coming out to adjourn?
Yep.
Okay. So in that case, guys over in my media room, you know that, that means you can go, because we're just gonna come out to adjourn.
So you need a motion?
Yes,
Do you need a motion?
I do, but I was just
Oh.
giving
okay.
everybody this is what's gonna happen. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it. I move that we move into executive session and, in accordance with Mass General Law 30A, subsection 21A3.
No, 21-6.
D6.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, 21-A-6.
Subsection
Subsection A.
21A-6, real estate negotiations.
So moved.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
sorry,
moved.
second.
Thank you.
Sorry, second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. On the motion to enter into executive session for 21A-6, real estate negotiations, how do you vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. We will be coming back into session only to adjourn. We do not foresee any